I wanted to talk about emotional intelligence. This is something I've been thinking about for a while and recording about for a while actually, but I hadn't really put a name to it. I hadn't really talked about the over-encompassing meta skill, if you like, the thing that ties together some of my more recent audios, and that's emotional intelligence, which you've probably heard of before, and you may think that people are born with certain amounts of emotional intelligence, and that's just what you get. That it's luck of the draw, that some people are good at it, that they have a high emotional intelligence, and other people aren't, that they have low emotional intelligence. But it's actually not a permanent trait, a preset quality. It isn't set in stone. Emotional intelligence is a series of skills, and like any skill, they can be improved over time. You can develop emotional intelligence and become better at it, become more practiced, more experienced, do it more naturally. You can find that you become a lot better at it with practice. Emotional intelligence can help you in all sorts of different areas of your life. It can improve your relationships, your career, your day-to-day life, your mental health and emotional health. It can make you a lot better at making decisions, listening to yourself, helping others, caring more about people, taking care of yourself. It's a very, very useful series of skills. The first skill, I would say, is learning to recognize emotion, both in yourself and in others. Learning how to identify what you're feeling or what someone else is feeling and putting a name to that feeling is really important. Often that in itself can be very helpful. Our feelings want to be felt. They want us to take note of them, to be acknowledged by us, and then typically once we've done that, they may start to subside, and we may experience emotional relief. But sometimes feelings want more than that. They want something to be done. They want us to act on those feelings. And so recognizing what those feelings are is the first step to figuring out how you want to take action, what to do about those feelings, or in the case of someone else, what to do to help them with that feeling or how to respond to that feeling. But let's not skip too far ahead. When you're learning to recognize an emotion, to identify it, and put a name to it, I find that it's very helpful to practice by actually speaking aloud and putting a name to it, saying the name of that emotion. It's not enough just to go, "Ooh, that's a big feeling," or "Oh, that thing makes me feel bad." Saying to yourself, "Oh, I'm feeling angry," or "I'm really sad. I'm feeling a little anxious and maybe kind of jealous. I'm feeling insecure about one of my relationships." That can be really helpful by paying attention to our emotions and identifying what they are. That helps us develop that skill and for it to become more natural, more automatic. So if you keep doing that and keep practicing it and really deliberately and mindfully reflecting what it is that you're feeling, stopping for a second and deliberately acknowledging it, that really helps to train you up and make you better at emotional intelligence. Another of the core skills of emotional intelligence is learning to manage your emotions, to regulate them, to process them and feel them and deal with them, handle them in ways that are healthy, not behaving in a self-destructive way, not lashing out at others or at yourself, or any irrational, impulsive decisions that you might regret later. It's about learning to handle your emotion in healthy ways. One of the major ways that we learn to do that is by talking to someone about our feelings, venting to someone or expressing these feelings, particularly talking to a therapist, though a friend or a loved one can help, or even someone like a priest or a religious leader, if that's what you're into. You can also journal. Journaling is very, very helpful. That can help you identify and figure out what it is that you're feeling, and also learn to deal with it in a healthy way. Part of learning to manage our emotions is also learning to take responsibility for them, recognizing our behavior and taking ownership of that, saying, yeah, look, I flew off the handle, I got angry and irrational, I shouldn't have done that, that wasn't a healthy way of handling my feelings. In the future, I'm going to try and do something different. We apologize to whoever was affected, and then we try and do better in the future. And part of that is using different skills, practicing deep breathing exercises or visual imagery, squeezing a stress ball, learning to go for a walk when we're angry instead of blowing up at someone, or taking care of ourselves, practicing self-care when we're sad or upset. Doing mindfulness meditation is really helpful, both for identifying feelings and becoming more self-aware, but also calming ourselves down, helping us to deal with strong emotion. Those are all very helpful techniques. And likewise, learning to manage other people's emotions is a helpful thing too. Learning how to de-escalate a situation if someone else is angry or upset with us. Learning how to cheer someone up or comfort someone if they're sad or upset. Being able to help someone relax or feel more reassured when they're anxious. These are all really helpful skills to develop. And a lot of that can come from watching how we interact with people, playing back our behavior, either in our head or even looking at recordings, looking at how we handled things, how we responded to people, and playing back situations, looking at what was that other person feeling? What could I have done differently? How might I handle that in the future? What would I want if I were in that person's shoes? Empathy. We look at how someone else is feeling, or at least how we think someone else is feeling, and then try to relate to that person. Try and understand what it is that they're feeling and what it is that they might need. And that's a very helpful skill to develop. And it's okay if you're a little confused at first, or you're not really sure what someone's feeling, because often it can help just to ask. Just ask that person, hey, what are you feeling right now? Or you can take a guess if you want. Typically, when someone tries to understand what we're feeling and they get it wrong, we usually won't be upset with them. We'll just gently correct them. It sounds like you're feeling angry about that. And they might say, well, I'm not really angry. I'm disappointed, or I'm frustrated, or I'm feeling sad about this. Something like that. So being able to learn to understand other people's emotions and learning to understand our own emotions is a very important skill. Then we can learn to manage those emotions, ours and theirs, so that bad things don't tend to happen as much. And we can also learn to harness those emotions, using them for more constructive things, using them to help us solve problems, using them to make better decisions, to listen to our feelings, to determine what it is that we want or don't want, learning how different people relate to one another, learning more about people and what kind of things they think about, what they value, what's important to them, how to interact with those other people in healthy, harmonious ways. When we learn to access our own emotions, learn to identify them and recognize other people's emotions too, that gives us information. It gives us data, in a sense, and that lets us make a lot better decisions because we have more information, and that helps us to interact with other people successfully. It helps us to form meaningful friendships or other relationships. It helps us to coexist more peacefully, to create a better work climate, for example, or enjoy our time together in a shared space. It helps us to solve problems. It helps us to live life better. And so developing emotional intelligence is a wonderful skill, or series of skills, really. And it helps us in so many ways. There's already an audio that I've made called What Feelings Are For, and I highly recommend that you give that a listen or a re-listen and think about what's in that audio and how those things can help you to recognize and listen to your emotions. Because every emotion serves a purpose. There are no bad emotions. Emotions aren't wrong. They're not negative per se. They may be unpleasant, but there's still something important that they're trying to tell you. Now, they may not necessarily be accurate or based on accurate information, but nevertheless, there's something there that you can learn from your emotions. Learning to recognize the emotion is the first step, and you may need to develop your language a bit more to really understand what a feeling is, what that word means, how those feelings feel. And that may take time and experience, but you can also read about them too. And I find that a really helpful thing to do if I'm feeling an emotion and I don't really have a good sense of what that's for or what it's trying to tell me. I just Google it. And it's surprisingly helpful. You can look it up on Wikipedia if you want, although that may not be necessarily what you're looking for. But there's a website called Psychology Today, and it has articles on all sorts of different emotions, and it's a good place to start. You know, if you're feeling jealous and you don't really know what jealousy is or what it's for, look up jealousy and it'll tell you what jealousy does, what the point of it is, how it tends to manifest, what it means, what we do about it, the common pitfalls that people fall into and experience problems when they don't process it in a healthy way. And then you can learn what to do about that emotion, how to manage it better. You can learn how to use that and turn it into a positive. And that's pretty much what emotional intelligence is. Doing that for yourself and doing that for other people. Recognizing what they're feeling, putting a name to it, and going, yeah, that thing, what does that tell me again? Right, this. So, I'll do this, and hopefully that will help that person manage it, and then we can use that as a springboard and go off in this direction, and do something more positive with that feeling. That's a wonderful thing to be able to do. And honestly, it makes life so much easier. It really does. So I urge you, give it a try. Listen to what your emotions are saying. Figure out which one is which, what they do, what they mean. Journal about them. Reflect on what it is that you're feeling, what it is that you've experienced, whether it was today or 20 years ago. Reflect on that and learn from it. Recognize what those emotions are trying to do and help them to do it. Use them for good, for your own benefit, and it can really help. I plan on making more audios talking about emotions, how they work, what they do, talking about specific emotions, how to use them for good. But I think that's enough for now. Hopefully this gives you a bit of an overview about what emotional intelligence is and how you can develop it.